once for your sorrow, now you're paying for it. Think twice. Being evil has a price. I hear a lot of little secrets. Tell me yours, and I keep it. You wanna know my name by now? Better think twice. 'Cause being evil has a price.
I'm back with another Assassin's Creed video series. And oh boy, I have much to say about this abomination of storytelling. Assassin's Creed Rogue is unworthy of all its praise that it has received from everyone around the world. The people who think Assassin's Creed Rogue has a great storyline call it a new original look at the AC universe.
Liar!
That expands on the lore. Not really. I really don't get where this idea came from, but maybe I do. Maybe some fans are so desperate for any form of originality that they will take whatever they can get their hands on. Or they are just tired of playing as an assassin that a simple switch will do the trick. It doesn't matter if it made sense, as long as it was something. But who knows? It's impossible for me to speak for every Assassin's Creed Rogue fan. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate Rogue right from the get-go. I was actually kind of curious to play it, and I even have positive things to say for once. I liked hanging out with the cast of the game, but not all of them though.
Pinks!
I loved going back to the homestead and see how things were before the colonial brotherhood had been wiped out, but that is just me of course. And the stupid kid Arno is gone. Most people, well for my research, assume that you don't like Rogue because you play as a Templar or you just don't like sailing. But I like sailing in Black Flag, so that argument doesn't work here. And I don't have a problem with the idea of playing as a Templar. This might come over as a surprise to some, but I never downright hated, disliked the Templars nor their ideology. But that doesn't mean that I'm a pro-Templar and up straight disagree and dislike the Assassin Order. But if I had to choose between the two factions, I do choose to be an Assassin over a Templar any day, because I have many issues with the Templars themselves. Just to mention a few of them, some of them are slave traders. They don't mind to kill innocent people. They want control over the human race. Their ideology can easily corrupt an individual or multiple individuals of the order. They have done some horrible things in the past and etc. But not all Templars are bad. Okay, maybe not that one. Okay, not that one either. Maybe Rogue can give us a new look at the conflict between the Assassins and the Templars. Through every game we have always played as an assassin or a man or a woman who will become an assassin later. So seeing things from a Templar's point of view for once might not be a bad idea. It might even give us a new look at the conflict between the Assassins and the Templars. For this series I will focus primarily on the story and characters because that is what everyone praises about Rogue and fangasms over when it comes to this game. And if you can still tell me after watching all my videos about the Rogue story that's an excellent narrative that makes sense logically, then please.
Never compromise the assassin.
Okay, stop right there. Why are we following a random eagle? I thought we were reliving a memory. Did Abstergo steal DNA from a deceased eagle or a descendant of that certain eagle? And what is it with the narration? No, stop this. Is this a memory inside a memory? You know, like in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood where Desmond Miles had to relive Ezio's memories? I'm not even a minute in and I have found something to complain about. Anyway, after that we get introduced to the main protagonist Shay Patrick Cormac, who was the one narrating the opening of the game. Shay is an idiot, with a damn amount of luck I do like to add.
I make my own luck, Liam.
Oh, shut up. You survived the most ridiculous shit and your luck is nothing more than the writers coming up with excuses. You survived getting shot in the back, falling off a cliff, landing in frozen water. There are multiple moments in the story where you should have been killed.
Bargain. What is she doing there?
Moving on, we get introduced to Liam, a childhood friend of Shay, and as you can guess, he is part of the Brotherhood too. They were both out here hunting according to Shay, but it seems like they were more playing with each other. What can I say about Liam as a character? Well, I like him. He is loyal to the Brotherhood and to those who he considers his friends. He likes to have a laugh and a good time with people, but when he is on a mission, he takes his job very serious and he shows a lot of respect towards his colleagues. So yes, I have not much to complain about him.
Trouble just follows me around.
Let's head back.
There's space. Where the hell were you two? We're out hunting. What happened here?
My men were attacked by some English sea dogs.
Why, Captain Joseph, couldn't you fight them all off by yourself like you're always saying?
No, you didn't. So remember that I called Shay an idiot? Well, what person in a situation like this would make an already angry captain more angrier? Even Liam looks like, dude, you just didn't say that. I know that comedy can be really subjective, but how am I supposed to root for Shay in this situation when he just starts making things unnecessarily worse? Anyway, this gets followed up on by this.
If you think any training could make you into a proper assassin, do you even know what that means? It means being responsible for an ancient and proud tradition. It means obeying your mentor without question. How else will we ensure freedom for the human race?
So where did this dogma come from? And why doesn't Liam say anything at all? Are all the assassins like this? I don't know, because the story never brings this up ever again. Was it to show that all colonial assassins have developed some form of dogma view on the creed? Well, that could be interesting if you actually did something with it. Chevalier just comes over as weird if he's the only one believing in this and never brings it up ever again. I've seen some people on the internet using this as an argument on what is wrong with the colonial brotherhood, but he's the only one that seems to have a dogmatic view on it. If Shay was smart, he would have made a counter argument saying something like assassins should always be open-minded, that they should question their surrounding ideas, and oh yeah, Ao Mao Lim. Funny thing to say, Chevalier. Remember that guy a long time ago named Ao Mao Lim? The guy, you know, the guy that used Altair to kill the Ninth and used the Apple of Eden to control the assassins and everyone in Mashaf, and also used the apple against Altair to kill him. The guy who changed the order for the better. If Chevalier still disagreed, it said something like, I told you not to question me, and then punches Shay in the face, with Liam agreeing here with Chevalier. This will be a lot better. Anyway, after a brief combat tutorial, Liam grabs in and tells them they need to stop, and they have to work together to take down a common enemy.
Then what is worse, the smugglers we were supposed to meet have been taken prisoner.
Shay and I'll free those smugglers. You treat your wounded.
Freeing the smugglers honestly leads to a well choreographed fight scene with great camera angles and a good use of the surrounding.
I was saving those fellas for you.
Very thoughtful.
Chevalier says here that the ship is now owned by Shay and also calls it a garbage ship.
Your own pile of garbage, yes?
Shay names the ship the Morgan and Chevalier thinks about Morgana Le Fay, who ruined Merlin the Wise. Fun fact, did you know there was an appearance of King Arthur in the Subject 16 glyphs in Assassin's Creed 2? Back to topic, after a short sailing tutorial, we find out Chevalier's ship is under attack. This of course will lead to a ship combat tutorial. After the fight is over, Chevalier returns to his ship and Shay and Liam set course back to the homestead. The camera zooms out and the title appears on screen. But I have a question. What was the point of this? We get introduced to Shay Cormac, the setting, time period, Shay's ship, and a few other assassins. But beside that, nothing has been achieved or has a big influence on the storyline. Of course, not every opening needs to be the best thing ever. It could just be a simple introduction to the world and the characters to us. But to stay more relevant to the story, it should be remembered. Shay gets punched in the face by Chevalier, but that will not be mentioned ever again. We freed the smugglers, killed some soldiers and got our own ship, but what's the point? Why not start the opening in the homestead instead? With Shay training with his fellow assassins, Hope Jensen, Liam, Achilles. We learn Shay's background and how he entered the Brotherhood and how the colonial Brotherhood system works. Not soon after, we learn who Shay Patrick Cormac is and how the Brotherhood system works. Achilles sends us on a mission with Chevalier across the seas. And honestly, it probably wouldn't make any difference. Maybe Ubisoft and the development team just wanted a cool opening for the game and that was it. But quote-unquote cool things can be really subjective and doesn't automatically guarantee for a good storyline.
What the hell did you do? It's some kind of dormant virus?
Emergency.
Shit. Hang on, I'm getting you out of there.
Please proceed to remain calm. Do not panic.
Sorry for the rough end.
Hello darkness, my old friend. Okay, before I start, I wanna ask, whose idea was this anyway? How did we went from Desmond Miles to a first-person video game developer working for an evil video game company that wants world domination and simultaneously releases censored Assassin's Creed games to the public? Whose idea was that? The Desmond segments weren't perfect, and this is from someone here who is a modern day fan, by the way. To name a few issues I always had with the modern day are: I never liked the idea of buying DLC to understand what happened to Lucy, or helping my crew to insert batteries in Monteriggioni.
Monteriggioni.
Thank you, Sean. But never did I expect, or anyone really, that we went from Assassin's Creed 3's ending, which I will remind you, where we literally unleashed a first civilization member called Juno on the world, so that we can play in future installments a faceless man or a woman working for Abstergo Entertainment, where you can run around in offices the whole day with your dear boss Melanie patting you on the shoulder like a little child, saying you do a good job at playing Assassin's Creed. Also, Abstergo making Assassin's Creed games based on real memories with animus tech is questionable at best. In the Desmond era, everything needed to stay in the shadows as much as possible, and if Abstergo makes slip-ups, it could cause disasters.
I found the Templars first, actually. Abstergo is a big company. It's too big, which means there were slip-ups. You know, like that mess they're having right now with the fluoride. I started digging up everything I could on the company, posting stuff to news groups, trying to spread the word, looking for people who might have stories to tell.
But now Abstergo makes casual Assassin's Creed games with animus tech based on real historical events that involve the Templars and Assassins in their offices. But don't worry, they censor it and hire people with zero knowledge on the conflict to research these memories. So don't worry, it works out in the end anyway. It works out perfectly fine. Even though average teenagers have heard rumors that the games Abstergo makes are altered. Now, what does this offer the universe? Well, nothing. Besides making censored Assassin's Creed games in the AC universe and making an inside joke, it doesn't really offer anything else. My other question is, why not make this a comic book? You've already experimented with this in the Braham comics with an employee landing in the fight between the Assassins and the Templars. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but it was done a lot better than in the actual games. And also, just make it a small thing in the AC universe. Not many fans are interested in a guy who was working at Abstergo as a video game developer finding out that his company was secretly evil all along. Probably because of the microtransactions. But there are so many other interesting things you could do in the Assassin's Creed universe, and you decide to go with this and make it important. Really? The whole idea of making the Animus a video game console in the Assassin's Creed universe also strengthens the idea that some people have that the Animus and modern day just exist so that Ubisoft can explain the video gaminess in the games themselves. Making people who already dislike the modern day or just up straight hated it, dislike and hate it even more. And also making them believe that they were right from the very start. But if I have to say one good thing about the first person perspective that I enjoyed, was finding the lore in Abstergo files that interested me and seeing that not every Abstergo employee is aware of the Assassin and Templar conflict. Some fans are just convinced that everyone that works at Abstergo is automatically evil or is a Templar, which isn't true, so I'm kind of happy with this. I also like that Abstergo Entertainment has more colors than just grey, blue and white, which are the usual colors for an Abstergo facility, complex, etc, you know it. But if it is this bad, then why use it again in Rogue? What does this achieve, you ask me? Well, honestly, I believe that Ubisoft doesn't want to get rid of the modern day fans, but don't want to spend a lot of time and money into it either, or else they will lose the people who play these games pure for the historical setting. The problem here lies that one gets sacrificed for the other, and the consequence for this decision is that the modern day fans start to dislike it and even up straight hate the modern day segments. And the people who never liked the modern day from the very beginning wanted to be removed from the games even more than they used to. But that is just my take on it. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Anyway, back to story. Violet da Costa, Costa stands for Kant, gets you out of the Animus because your session triggered the fires to be released in Abstergo, infecting the entire building you work for, and the system so bad that people need to be evacuated from the building.
We need to find your boss. You haven't forgotten your boss, have you? Melanie LeMay?
Unfortunately, I haven't. Violet and Melanie explain the employee, aka you the player, that you are going to work with contractors hired by Abstergo because you unleashed the virus. Well, it's technically not your fault, you should still help them. Violet complains about the elevator not working, which is odd because Melanie used it like 5 seconds ago. Besides this nitpick, Violet lets you fix the server so it will be connected to your Animus, so you can continue reliving Shay's memories. By fixing the server, a file gets opened about Ao Lin, narrated by Otzelberg himself. Unfortunately, it doesn't bring anything new to the table. Most of these files are about characters, events and other stuff we are already familiar with. The ones that are new give you more information on Otzelberg and Violet da Costa. One of these files is about Kevin Banks. Who is Kevin Banks, you ask me? Well, because the game expects you to be familiar with the expanded medium, it doesn't really bother explaining. If you're curious to know, Kevin Banks is a mentor of the modern day assassins. Great, now I need to know expanded material like comics, novels to fully understand and enjoy this game. Wait a second, now we are speaking of modern day anyway. What happened to Juno? Oh yeah, Juno fucking died! Yes, everyone who was invested into her storyline had to read a comic to find out what happened to her. And why do I bring this up, you ask me? Well, she appears in this game. But what is the point if all she does and says doesn't matter? This makes her appearance in Rogue absolutely pointless. After the servers are restored, you go back to your Animus. And the first thing we see when the memories are loaded is a younger version of Achilles and our good old pal Adewale. Unfortunately, Adewale is nothing more than fan service. He could have been played by anyone really, and nothing of value would be lost. According to Shay and Gist, Adewale's death will be a big blow to the Assassin Order.
He's a powerful man in his own right, and a symbol of hope for the assassins. Eliminating him would shake them to the core.
But we will never see the effects on screen, nor will it be important much later anyway. Story-wise speaking, there's also a big missed opportunity here. According to Liam, Adewale is
It's a living incarnation of the Creed.
which is pretty interesting if you think about it, but never will this be explored later. Adewale could have been your exact opposite. Imagine this, you are a Templar who fully believes in the Templar ideology, and the only one who can challenge your beliefs is no other than Adewale, the incarnation of the Creed. Both of you have different views on humanity and life experiences. The sad thing here is that it wasn't explored much, nor was it a priority for the writers. The best thing that came out of Adewale's inclusion in Rogue was at least that they bothered ending his story in a game, unlike Connor here or Juno. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but at least they bothered ending his story in a game.
See?
You join me for some practice?
Soon. I've got other business first.
But did Mackendall's man complete his task before the earthquake hit?
I cannot know. Vonredi has not been found. He was a strong Maroon.
Okay, question. Does Shay do this often, listening in on private conversations of his colleagues? I'm really beginning to understand why Chevrolet doesn't like the guy. And why would Shay listen to Achilles and Adewale's conversation? Is it because he's interested in Adewale's story? Honestly, the conversation is really important for what will happen later in the game, and I wish it was done in a cutscene format instead of just listening in on the conversation really randomly, but that's just me, I guess. After listening in on the conversation, Shay goes to the training ground where we meet Hope Jensen, Kesoawage, and our pal Leah. Wait! I sense a disturbance in the lore. I thought Connor was the first Native American assassin according to Sean in Achilles' database in Assassin's Creed 3. I just guessed that Sean was wrong?
I'm always right.
About that dead end.
That never happened, I was misquoted.
Oh, what did I miss?
Only the first hour of training,
We're always training, Kisagawase.
and will continue to do so.
Do not waste your words. Shay abhors improvement as much as cats abhor leashes.
Hey,
And you quickly realize that Shay is lazy. He cares more about listening in on conversations than practicing his skills. But sure, that wouldn't be enough to call Shay lazy, right? Whenever Shay is sent on a mission, most of the times he will be accompanied by someone, let's say Liam. This is mostly because according to Shay, Achilles doesn't really trust him, and for good reason though. Shay never shows full commitment to the Brotherhood and doesn't take his mission serious.
We're out here for a reason, Shay. Mind your duty.
well, what's the point of freedom if you cannot breathe deep and enjoy it?
The Templars stick to this continent like tar. I won't feel liberated until we pry them off.
Instead of answering the question like that, Liam, you should have said something like, Shay, listen, the thing is, by following the creed and the 3 tenets, you will give away a small part of your own free will, so that you can safeguard humanity's freedom. It might not be the perfect life, it might not be ideal, and the discussion goes onwards from this, instead of Liam just getting annoyed. It might even give the writers proper advice on how to deconstruct the assassin ideology. Back on topic on Shay's investment in missions. Yes, he shows some form of investment in it and he at least bothers to finish it, but he even questions to Liam why he had to kill a slave owner.
Lawrence Washington is a powerful businessman, a slave owner.
Lawrence Washington is dead.
You look disappointed.
The sickly way that man looked. He would have been dead in a month anyway.
Yes, Shay, he was old and would have died sooner or later. But even when they are old, they could still do a lot of damage to the Brotherhood, everyone around them, or change the world in their view. Shay probably wouldn't have minded to kill him if he was, I don't know, Rodrigo freaking Borgia. Instead of talking about ideology differences or views on humanity, the writers try to make you feel bad for killing a slave owner. I do wonder, what if it wasn't Liam who was with Shay on this mission, but rather Wally? More on Shay's character later. As we finish the tutorials and get compliments from our teachers, Shay goes back to Achilles.
Shay, I hear you've become quite the marksman.
Generous gift. Thank you, mentor.
My ship awaits, Achilles.
Farewell, Adewale. Whoever controls the artifact can access precursor sites of power.
Oh, okay, stop. We need to talk about this. So where did this newcomer obsession come from? This is an issue that I have and other fans have for many years now with the franchise. I'm not saying introducing new players isn't a bad idea. It's good for business and keeps your franchise alive for much longer. But fans like me who have played every single game don't need an exposition scene on how this works every time. In almost every Assassin's Creed game now, they reintroduce the artifacts, the assassins and Templars, or just make them small parts of the game, but I'm pretty sure that most people who buy the new Assassin's Creed games have at least played the previous game that came out before this one, or just played a few of the installments of the franchise before buying the next one. If Assassin's Creed Rogue was my first Assassin's Creed game, I will be wondering what the point of the modern day was and question how this would work exactly. But most newcomers, I assume, probably wouldn't question too many things because this is a big franchise. These answers are somewhere or they ask someone online for an explanation. Anyway, after the brief exposition on the Pieces of Eden, Shay goes back to Liam and asks him where they will go next. You know, I can talk about this for hours, but I feel like this video went on long enough for now, so I will just end the video here. This is part 1 of many to come, and it's absolutely nothing compared to for what I have in store when Shay turns rogue. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm open for criticism and feedback, and thank you for watching.